Hey guys, so just so you know, Chris, my brother, he's seen many times, loved my comic book tour so much, and he was really inspired by it, so he decided to do a comic book tour of his own. But as he does not have his own YouTube channel, I decided I'd let him borrow mine. So basically, this is like a video response, but under my name, because he doesn't have his own channel and a way to upload a video. So, I hope you guys enjoy it. He has some pretty good insight into comics. He's been collecting for a long time. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Shannon's brother, Chris. I saw the comic tour video that she did the other day, and it inspired me to do one of my own. You know, to talk to like-minded nerd-type people and give you my recommendations on what's good, what got me into reading, keeps me in reading. So to start with, I guess I'll, like she did, kind of tell you why I'm a collector these days. Grew up reading and collecting comics with my older brother, and pretty much all our lives, and then went off to college, got married, kind of got out of it, didn't have the money or the time, things like that. And then what got me back into it was much the same story as Shannon. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was one of my favorite TV shows ever. So was Angel. And I was kind of bummed when they got canceled. So a few years back, when Joss Whedon, the creator, decided to continue both the shows on in comic book form, that was enough for me. I was like, man, I'm gonna be buying that every month. So so that kind of got started with Buffy season 8, done in comic book form. It's been running for quite a while now. It's up to season 9 we're in the middle of right now. And then quickly following that was Angel After the Fall, which picked up right where the show ends and tells you what happened after that. And then it went on with a couple other storylines, and then now the book that's currently going on from Dark Horse is Angel and Faith, coinciding with Buffy season 9, and now there's a couple of spin-off miniseries. The Spike miniseries just ended. It was about 5 issues, and there's one issue, I believe, left of the Willow miniseries, Willow in Wonderland, and I highly recommend all of those that I just named. All just top-notch, really good stuff. And then, so that got me into monthly comic buying again, and that's pretty much all it was just the Buffy title. And then shortly after that, Joss Whedon once again started a new X-Men series for Marvel called Astonishing X-Men with artist John Cassaday, who is just an incredible artist. And so I was buying that every month for the first 24 issues or so till they finished their run. And so that's where I got back into buying comics. But it was basically just those 2 titles for a long time. And then my best friend John Businger, came to me one day and he's like, dude, if you're a comic fan, you gotta start reading Green Lantern. It's amazing. And I knew the character, growing up. I mean, he's one of the bigger, DC icons, but I never really thought much of the character. I never really paid much attention. And he's like, no, you've got to read Green Lantern Rebirth. And he lent it to me. And Geoff Johns' writing in that arc, and Ethan Von Sciver's art are both just amazing. And Geoff Johns did what he does with that series. He took a character who had been kind of shoved aside and overlooked for many years and made them just awesome again. And he's done that a couple times now. And that made me just a raging Green Lantern fan. I have my badge. It was the second tattoo I ever got. I loved it so much. So, And so now, as a result of that, I every month I buy Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps and Green Lantern New Guardians and Red Lanterns. Probably not going to be doing that one much longer. The writing's really not very good. And so I probably going to be dropping that one soon. But pretty much anything related to the Green Lantern universe, all the storylines since then, I went back and bought all the trades of everything I had missed up until, what was current, and got caught up. Blackest Night, Brightest Day, I found them all just really good. And so that's what really got me buying comics again. Now I've got almost, I would say, about a dozen titles I read every month. And mostly DC. Not a big fan of Marvel. The last few years they've done a lot of stuff that really drove me away. I mean, the things that they did with Spider-Man, changing him almost completely as a character, giving him organic web shooters just because they did it in the movie, turning him into a complete wuss and tool for Civil War, and turning Iron Man into a complete douchebag for Civil War, just kind of made me go, okay, Marvel, I'm gonna go now. So I haven't been a big fan there for a few years now, but I'm coming back around slowly to a few things anyway. A couple of the ones that Shannon mentioned, the Hawkeye series by Matt Fraction, and I forget the artist's name, but consistently funny and just really cool every month. And so I've been reading that, borrowing it from her as she gets it. The new Avengers series is pretty dang good. I'm really enjoying it. One of the ones I really wanted to talk about, I forgot to get out of the box here, but I'm going to grab it real quick, is I want to talk about it because a lot of comic book fans are nonplussed and or generally pissed about the Watchmen, before Watchmen comics, and I don't understand why, because I've been reading them. Not all of them. I haven't read The Comedian or Minutemen or any of the one-shots that they've done, but I've been following Dr. Manhattan and Ozymandias and Rorschach and Night Owl and Silk Spectre, all really good. Writing by Len Wein, I believe is how you pronounce his name, with art by Jay Lee on Ozymandias. I've been a Jay Lee fan for not ever since I started seeing his work. I didn't like his work at first, but ever since the Dark Tower comics from Marvel, his work has just been incredible. And I can't remember his name, who writes Silk Spectre, but he did Justice League New Frontier a while back, and his writing is excellent there. Dr. Manhattan and Night Owl being written by one of my favorite writers, J. Michael Straczynski, who I've been a fan of ever since the TV show he created, Babylon 5, which I loved beginning to end. And he did a really awesome run on Thor a couple years back for Marvel. I believe he actually wrote the screenplay for the Thor movie, or worked on it at least. And and so he's always been one of my favorites, and it's no different with this Dr. Manhattan series. Just kind of blown away by it. So my recommendation for you guys with these would be, check them out yourself. Don't listen to the naysayers, and for God's sake, don't listen to Alan Moore. The man, I can't. That's a whole other video. My rants on Alan Moore. The man's a great writer, but lacking in social skills at the very least. Yes, check these out. I really do recommend them. Another one, Shannon already touched on this, but I think it can't be said enough, is this fairly new title from Image that it's on issue 7, I believe, is the one that comes out this coming month. It's called Revival. Excellent stuff. My best friend John Businger bought the first issue, and he came to me as soon as he got done reading it and said, "Dude, you have to start reading this comic. It's going to be the next Walking Dead." And I was like, "Yeah, right, whatever." And I read it, and I agree. I really would not be surprised we're going to see this as a TV series or a movie very, very soon. And it's just really good stuff. So definitely check that out if you're a comic book fan, or even just somebody looking to get into comics. Pick up Revival from Image. Just awesome stuff. What else was I gonna say? One of the New 52 DC series that I really do highly recommend is Dark Knight by David Finch, or it has been by David Finch up until I think the newest issue. They've got a new writer, but very good stuff. And now with the new writer, they've changed artists, and it's Ethan Von Sciver who did Green Lantern Rebirth and Flash Rebirth. And so I still, even though they've changed creative teams, I highly recommend that one. And just going back to the Whedonverse yet again, highly recommend the Serenity comics if you can get your hands on them. These are the ones I have are fairly old. They haven't put out anything recently for Serenity, but the first storyline, Those Left Behind, and the one after it, Better Days, both written by Brett Matthews and Joss Whedon together. Just excellent stories that take place kind of during the series, before the movie. Check those out. Trying to think of any other recommendations I have. I think I've kind of covered everything. I wanted to throw in here a non-recommendation. I've already kind of gone off on how I dislike what Marvel's been doing with Spider-Man over the last few years. They just ended The Amazing Spider-Man. They've canceled the title. Number 700. I am not very proud to say I'm holding in my hands right now. Was the last issue. It's kind of a commemorative collector's issue thing, so I bought it for my son, for him to have for his collection. But I read it, and they never cease to disappoint with Spider-Man lately. One of the single dumbest Spider-Man stories and just concepts I've ever read. If you're a collector, it's probably a good thing to buy. If not, don't spend the money, because it's $7.99 for a single issue of a comic. It's fairly thick, but hands down gotta be the dumbest Spider-Man story I've ever read, and that's saying something. So an anti-recommendation right there for you guys. I don't care that it's the last issue. If you want to buy it as a collector thing, buy it, put it in a bag, put it in your box. Don't read it. It's a waste of your time. So that pretty much covers everything I've got in the boxes here that I wanted to recommend. So now I'm going to take you over to my desk and show you my fairly expensive graphic novel collection. Give you some recommendations there. So let's go over there. This is my nerd desk, which doesn't get a lot nerdier than that. I have my, I think Shannon talked about Smile Time and Spike Shadow Puppets. I actually have the prop replica puppet, angel vampire puppet from Smile Time. I'm big into prop replicas. As any of you who know anything about me might already know, I got my Avengers Dr. Pepper can set. Yes, I am that big of a nerd. And then behind that is my graphic novel collection, which starts with Green Lantern, because that's the biggest chunk. I have everything from Rebirth to now. Going through Blackest Night and Brightest Day, and then into, past that I've got single issues, and then I got some of the Angel IDW stuff, really good stuff. Some various Batman. Buffy Tales was a great find for me. It's like a Bible. It's so freaking big, but it's a really good read to just sit down and read all at once. And then Flash Rebirth, again, Jeff Johns and Ethan Von Sciver, who did Green Lantern Rebirth, did another great story, bringing back an old character, making him really, really cool again, which is what Jeff does. And just fantastic read. Got some Daredevils mixed in there, some Spike, Watchmen. You probably can't see a lot of that. Want to stop and talk about this for a second. Umbrella Academy from Dark Horse by Gerard Way, the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. I'm a huge My Chemical Romance fan, which is what made me want to read the comic, but if I'd never heard of My Chemical Romance, I would still love this comic. It's so just weird and quirky, and just takes what superheroes can be and kind of flips it and does this amazing stuff with it. And so that's another one of my big recommendations. If you want a read maybe you probably haven't heard of, find Umbrella Academy. There's 2 volumes out so far, and I know he's working on a Killjoys comic based on the characters he created with the new album. Actually, I believe it was supposed to be a comic first, and then they turned it into this concept album for Danger Days. That's going to be coming out, I think, in June or July, I heard. And I'm really excited about that, because Gerard is just an amazing writer when it comes to comic books. And then recently I picked up some old Cyberforce and The Darkness for real cheap at Hastings, because that is the only place I have to buy comics in this town, sadly. And this is my recent favorite find. I haven't gotten around to reading it yet, but the special edition of the original Crow graphic novel. It's got about 30 new pages drawn either by J.O. Barr or in the style of J.O. Barr. I'm not quite clear on that. I read a little bit of the foreword, but it's stuff that he originally intended to have in there, and he didn't put it in, and now he's added it back in, which some people might say is kind of a Lucas move, but I'm really excited to read it. Okay, guys, well that's my comic book tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I always love sharing with fellow nerds and nerdlings on the rise. So thanks for watching. I really enjoy sharing on Shannon's channel here every once in a while. So it's been fun. I'll talk to you guys later.